Chapter 1691. She wanted everyone who tried to deal with her to pay a terrible price. She wanted them dead. All right. Uncle Zhang didn't take this seriously at all. Their strength was enough to sweep away the entire Sea Emperor Dragon Court. In front of his strength, the influences of the true Spill Continent's mortal world simply weren't enough. If it weren't for Ming Zun in the Black Field, he wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. He could have just dealt with Luo Qingtong directly. Thinking of this, he coldly said to the third princess, "I can help you obtain the Sea Emperor Dragon Court. But you must provide me with a surefire way to kill that woman. I can't allow any side issues to crop up, and I can't allow anyone to stop me." He couldn't allow any accidents to happen. If he wanted to kill, he must kill. He couldn't give Luo Qingtong any chance to escape alive. All right. The third princess clenched her teeth. "I will create an opportunity for you." Good. Seeing that the other party wanted Luo Qingtong dead at all costs just as he expected, Martial Uncle Zhang nodded in satisfaction. "If you need any help, don't hesitate to ask. I only have one request, and that is for that stinky girl to die." "I have the same wish as you." The third princess' voice was cold and bitter. "It's best if she dies as miserably as possible." But her voice suddenly changed as she coldly said, "I want that little silver fox in her arms. You must bring it to me in perfect condition." The third princess didn't tell Master Zhang and the others that the silver fox was actually a human in disguise. She wanted that man, his bloodline continuation and the monster race's cultivation method. She wouldn't tell anyone this secret. Otherwise, who knew what these people would think? That man could only be hers. Uncle Zhang and the others didn't know that the third princess was hiding such a secret. Otherwise, they would have immediately guessed that the little silver fox was Ming Zun in disguise. After all, the other party's characteristics were very obvious. Only the third princess of the Sea Emperor, who was in the northern region and had never seen Ming Zun before, didn't know who he was. He had no idea that the third princess was hiding something so important from him. He had heard that she only wanted the silver fox in Luo Qingtong's arms. Although Uncle Zhang didn't know when Luo Qingtong had a silver fox, he still agreed. It was just a pet. By the time he killed Luo Qingtong, wouldn't that pet be easy to get? Both sides swore oaths to the heavens and earth and reached an agreement. After that, the third princess of the Sea Emperor rested for a while. With the help of the people of the Breeze Pavilion, she began to move in secret. Meanwhile, on Sea Emperor Island, inside Huang Fushi's prince mansion, a young boy suddenly rushed in excitedly. "Sister! Sister!" He hurriedly shouted and rushed into Luo Qingtong's courtyard. After returning from the Dragon Court Palace, Luo Qingtong asked Bei Qing and Feng Yu to stay in Huang Fushi's mansion to protect them. After all, the cleansing of the Dragon Court was too chaotic. Even Huang Fushi's mansion wasn't absolutely safe. Chapter 1692. Some of the first prince's accomplices had tried to sneak into the prince's residence and attack her and Huang Fushi. However, before they could even get close, they were discovered and killed by Bei Qing and Feng Yu. The entire prince's residence could be said to be impregnable. The Sea King and Sea Empress knew that Luo Qingtong was in Huang Fushi's residence and assumed that nothing would happen to Huang Fushi, so they went all out to clean up the place. They swept through the entire Sea Emperor's Dragon Court with lightning speed. At this rate, they would be free to send Luo Qingtong into the forbidden area in less than 2 days. This was also what Luo Qingtong wanted to see. At this moment, Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian were sunbathing in the courtyard. The little fox squatted on the marble table and looked at the crispy chicken on the table, its claws itching for a bite. Yi Qianxian felt extremely stifled. He looked at the plate of crispy chicken and tried his best to avert his gaze. However, the adorable fox in his body was completely unmoved by his will. On the contrary, the more he tried to avert his gaze, the more his eyes seemed to be glued to the plate of crispy chicken. And that pair of small claws was even more restlessly reaching for that plate of fragrant crispy chicken. Yi Qianxian's will forcibly pulled it back and it sneaked over again. Luo Qingtong sat on the other side of the stone table and looked straight ahead as if she didn't see anything. But in reality, the crimson light in her eyes flickered. She had already used her eye technique to take in everything around her. She was about to die from laughter when she saw Yi Qianxian's uncontrollable expression. Finally, just as Yi Qianxian's claws were about to touch the plate of crispy chicken, she picked it up and kissed it fiercely on the cheek. Soon after, a burst of laughter that was like a silver bell and clear spring water resounded throughout the entire courtyard. In an instant, Yi Qianxian's face darkened. It slapped its paw on Luo Qingtong's face and struggled to jump out of her hands. Okay, I really didn't mean to tease you. Luo Qingtong quickly coaxed it. Yi Qianming in her silver fox form was simply too cute. She couldn't help it. Cough. Luo Qingtong coughed lightly, then quickly peeled the crispy chicken for Yi Qianxian. Little by little, she tore the crispy chicken into small pieces and peeled off the crispy skin, leaving only the fragrant and soft meat for Yi Qianxian to eat. Okay, don't be angry. Come, I'll feed you. Luo Qingtong fed the chicken into Yi Qianxian's mouth little by little. Looking at her attentive and gentle appearance, Yi Qianren's anger dissipated no matter how big it was. Although he knew that this woman was only gentle for a moment, he didn't know when she would anger him to death. But there was no way he could resist her temptation. And the young fox in his body couldn't resist the temptation of the chicken. Therefore Yi Qianxian's face was cold as he allowed Luo Qingtong to feed him. One person and one fox in this courtyard, bathed in the sunlight. You tore a little, I ate a little. It was an indescribable warmth. When Huang Fushi rushed into the courtyard, he saw such a warm scene. Chapter 1693. Sister. He walked to Luo Qingtong's side. This little fox is so cute. No wonder sister would rather have a conflict with Sister Wang than give this little fox to them. Luo Qingtong couldn't help but laugh when she heard that. She lowered her head to look at Yi Qianming in her arms. As expected, she saw that its fox face had turned black again. Ah! The dignified Ming Zun of the Black Field had never thought that he would be described as cute one day. Pfft. Luo Qingtong tried her best to hold back her laughter. She didn't want to provoke this man anymore. Otherwise he would explode again. She would have to coax him for a long time. Luo Qingtong thought so and suddenly coughed lightly. She changed the topic. Xiaoxi, you look so happy. Did something good happen? Luo Qingtong had heard Huang Fushi's excited cry when he rushed in. Oh. Huang Fushi was currently sizing up Yi Qianren with a curious expression. Luo Qingtong's little fox gave him a very different feeling. It seemed to be very intelligent and human. Moreover, it was very cute. He wanted to ask Luo Qingtong where she got it. He also wanted to raise such a little fox. This way he could raise the same little fox as his sister. In the future he might be able to make them into a pair. At that time he would have a bunch of fox cubs. How great would that be? However, before he could ask, he heard Luo Qingtong's question. He suddenly remembered the purpose of his excitement. I almost forgot. He slapped his forehead and hurriedly said, It's like this. Sister, didn't you tell me last time that you were looking for a place called Bright Moon Island? I went to find father to look for a sea patrol map. All the big and small islands in the northern region, regardless of whether they were famous or not, were all drawn on it. I found the Bright Moon Island you mentioned. As Huang Fushi spoke, he immediately took out the Sea Area Patrol map. This map couldn't be shown to anyone. It was the most important map of the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court. The islands in the map were so small that only one person could stand on them. It was very important. However, Luo Qingtong was different. The young woman had saved the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court and the Sea Monarch's life. When Huang Fushi took out this piece of paper, he had already received the approval of the Sea Emperor and his ministers. He spread out the map in front of Luo Qingtong. Because this map was a secret. When Huang Fushi came in, the people in the courtyard had already ordered them to leave. Sister, look, Bright Moon Island is here. Huang Fushi pointed at a corner of the map. This map was about 10 meters long, but Huang Fushi didn't unfold it completely. He only showed the corner of the Bright Moon Island to Luo Qingtong. Before bringing this map, he had already helped Luo Qingtong find Bright Moon Island. He didn't know how much time and effort he had spent. Especially now that he was learning how to manage the forces and connections in the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court. Luo Qingtong looked at the young man in front of her who was so happy that his eyes narrowed. She smiled gently and said to him, Thank you, little Shi. It's okay. I'm very happy to be able to help sister. Huang Fushi quickly shook his head. For him, helping Luo Qingtong with this was nothing at all. Chapter 1694. And he also liked the feeling of helping Luo Qingtong. This made him feel that he was very useful to his sister. Huang Fushi liked this feeling very, very much. He also wanted to be in existence that his sister could rely on, just like how his sister protected him in the past, protecting her and helping her. And Luo Qingtong nodded lightly, then carefully looked at the sea map. The bloody light in her eyes spun rapidly, and soon she memorized the corner of the sea map with Bright Moon Island and engraved it in the depths of her pupils. When Luo Qingtong needed it, she could engrave it at any time. By the way, sister, there seems to be something strange near Bright Moon Island. If you want to go there, wait for my father to send troops to escort you, Huang Fushi said at this time. And? Strains? Luo Qingtong looked at Huang Fushi. And? Huang Fushi nodded. After learning that Luo Qingtong was looking for Bright Moon Island, he immediately understood a lot of things in the vicinity. Many sea beasts near Bright Moon Island have mutated. Previously, my imperial father had used this as an excuse to send eldest brother to patrol that place. The sea beasts there are not under our control now and they are very restless. It's very strange, Huang Fushi said. These were all things that he had learned before, and he hoped that they would be of help to Luo Qingtong. Sister, our Sea Emperor Dragon Court has already classified that place as a dangerous area. We will definitely send troops to clear it later. You can go with our troops when the time comes. Huang Fushi said to her. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes slightly, but didn't say anything. She had long known about the changes in Bright Moon Island. It seemed that there really was a secret there. She must go up and take a look. But before that he had to get rid of Yi Chenren's cute fox state. Otherwise the longer he delayed the more variables there would be. After Luo Qingtong memorized the map, she asked Huang Fushi to take it back. This item was extremely important to the Sea Emperor Dragon Court, so Luo Qingtong naturally didn't want anything to happen to it. What's more, the fact that the Sea Emperor and the others were willing to show her this map showed their trust in her. If someone accidentally spied on them and leaked the information, it would be a blow to the prestige of the Sea Emperor and Huang Fushi. Therefore Luo Qingtong asked Huang Fushi to take it back after reading it, in case anything happened. When Huang Fushi saw that she had already memorized the drawing, he didn't insist anymore and went back with the drawing. 3 days later the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court was completely wiped out. Although there were still some remnants hidden in the dark that hadn't been completely eliminated, it didn't prevent Poseidon from freeing up the time to open the forbidden area for Luo Qingtong. At the same time his strength had recovered a lot, and he had enough strength to open the forbidden area. The only pity was that much of his body had been corroded by the poison. Especially when the poison was stimulated, his body was even more damaged. If there were no accidents, he was afraid that he wouldn't have the chance to continue to break through in this lifetime. Miss Tong, please? In the Dragon Court Palace, Luo Qingtong was invited to the forbidden area of the Sea Emperor Dragon Court. The Sea Emperor and a group of great clan elders were already waiting there. Chapter 1695. The scene of the third princess coming to look for him appeared in his mind. Grand Elder Qian, how have you been? No one would have thought that the third princess who rushed into the Ocean Beast Battalion like a madwoman was still alive. Not only that, she was able to appear in his residence without a sound. The Grand Elder stared at the third princess, and he was so shocked that he was speechless. Looking at the expression on his face, the third princess sneered. Everyone probably thought she was dead, right? That's right, if she didn't meet those people from the Breeze Pavilion, she would have been dead. She had planned for Luo Qingtong to die in an incomparably painful and tragic scene. But since she wasn't dead, then the one who died should be someone else. The third princess of the Sea God Empire stared at the shocked Grand Elder with a frosty expression. There was an indescribable coldness and malice in her eyes. Grand Elder Qian, are you very surprised to see me? What, I'm not dead so you're scared, right? She sneered at the Grand Elder. The Sea Emperor is currently eliminating my brother's people for Huang Fushi's future power. Say, if he knows that you accepted my brother's things and provided us with information about Huang Fushi and the Empress of the Sea, what will he do? Even the news of the Sea Emperor being poisoned was told by you. She looked at the Grand Elder with an indescribably cold expression. Nonsense. The Grand Elder finally couldn't hold it in any longer. With a shocked and angry expression, he scolded, I did accept some toys from your elder brother, but I didn't tell you anything about His Majesty and the little prince. Bastard. This third princess actually dared to slander him. So what if I slandered you? The third princess looked at him and sneered. You accepted my brother's things, this is the evidence of your crime. As long as I tell you that my big brother got the news, do you think you, the Grand Elder, and the family behind you, will still be able to hold steady? What happened to my brother today will happen to you in the future. You. That great elder roared. The third princess of the Sea Emperor's voice sounded even colder. Right, don't forget how much you hated Huang Fushi in the past. If I expose you, how much do you think the Ocean Emperor and the Ocean Empress will believe you? Maybe the poison that turned Huang Fushi into a cripple will also be blamed on you. The third princess sneered. Her head was held high, and her face was full of ridicule. He had already calculated that the other party would not be able to escape. After benefiting from their bloodline, they still wanted to cast aside all relations? Dream on. Finally, the Grand Elder was a little scared. At this time, the third princess of the sea god's voice slowed down. Great Elder, I don't want to fight to the death with you. There's no benefit for me. The third princess of the sea emperor flicked her fingernails and said with a sinister look on her face, My elder brother is dead and his forces have completely collapsed. Even if I threaten you and force you to attack the sea emperor, it won't change anything. Our lineage is already doomed. I know that. Chapter 1696. I want to deal with the foreign girl by Huang Fuxi's side. That shouldn't be difficult for you, right? The third princess of the sea emperor looked at him with a cold smile. It's not a big deal for you to kill a girl from another region. Of course, since that bitch saved the sea emperor and is highly valued by Huang Fuxi, I won't let you kill her yourself. Otherwise, you won't be able to explain it to the sea emperor and the others. I just need you to follow my instructions and cooperate with me. When the time comes, even if something happens, you can just say it was an accident. How about it? The Grand Elder's eyes flickered slightly. At this time, Luo Qingtong was already standing on a white platform that looked like a shell under the guidance of the Sea Emperor. The platform was engraved with lines and lines. Luo Qingtong took a closer look and found that it was a natural teleportation array. Interesting. The lines on the surface of the shell had been polished into a natural teleportation array. It looked like it was made by nature. It was really interesting. Was this done by Huang Fuxi's ancestors? She didn't know what kind of demon bloodline they had, but they seemed to have the innate ability to control space. This array pattern was integrated and could only be activated by the people of the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court. Luo Qingtong's blood-red eyes flashed and quickly analyzed the shell-like platform. She was immediately relieved. Fortunately, she still wanted to cooperate with the Sea Empress and directly asked for her help to enter the forbidden area. If she insisted on relying on herself, she didn't know how troublesome it would be. After all, this platform could only be activated by the aura of the direct descendants of the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court. While Luo Qingtong was thinking, the Sea Emperor and the others on the other side were already in position. They said to her, Miss Tong, please pay attention. We are going to cast a seal to send you in. Okay. Luo Qingtong nodded at them and then hugged Yi Chenxian tightly in her arms. Although it was a little strange that she wanted to bring a little silver fox into the forbidden area, it wasn't a big deal. But this wasn't a big deal. It was just a pet. The Sea Emperor and the others didn't take it to heart. After receiving Luo Qingtong's response, they immediately injected their auras into the shell-like platform. In an instant, the shell-like platform, driven by their auras, began to rotate quickly. The veins on the shell lit up one by one. Rays of light lingered around Luo Qingtong and rotated around her. Then it quickly enveloped her entire body. Open. As the Sea Emperor and the others' hands as his hands, the light on the platform. In front of him, the light in the forbidden area suddenly brightened. He pretended to be attacked by something and staggered a step forward. Chapter 1697. Haha. An extremely loud and arrogant laughter resounded in the palace of the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court. Sea Emperor. My good uncle. You didn't expect this, did you? The third princess Song Yen and the others appeared. A group of people appeared in the depths of the Dragon Court Palace. Inside the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court, there was already a massacre and blood flowed like a river. The third princess stepped over the corpses on the ground and looked at the Sea Emperor and the others with a cold and fierce expression. Today none of you will leave alive. Her eyes were cold. When the Sea Emperor and the others saw her, their hearts sank. Third princess, it's you? The people from the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court couldn't believe their eyes. They looked at the people from the Breeze Pavilion who followed the third princess. These people were so strong. What was going on? How could such a powerful group of people suddenly appear in the True Spill continent? The people from the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court looked at the people from the Breeze Pavilion in shock. On the other hand, the third princess of the sea felt an indescribable joy in her heart. You didn't expect this, did you? Do you think that I'm already dead? Unfortunately, I've disappointed you. The one who should die is that bitch. And the rest of you don't even think about leaving alive. The third princess of the sea monarch's expression was cold. With a wave of her hand, the members of the Breeze Pavilion charged towards the members of the sea monarch's Dragon Court. The Grand Elder who listened to the third princess and attacked Luo Qingtong felt a chill run down his spine. His face was indescribably pale. He didn't expect that the third princess would ask him to attack Luo Qingtong, but in the end she didn't let him off. However, before he could finish his sentence, The third princess sneered and ordered the Breeze Pavilion's people to behead him. He didn't even know that she was using him, idiot. However, it was also thanks to him that he helped her deal with Luo Qingtong. Now that she had fulfilled her promise to the Breeze Pavilion, the people from the Breeze Pavilion had fulfilled their end of the bargain and controlled the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court for her. Soon, she would be the Sea Emperor of the Sea Emperor's Dragon Court. The entire northern region was going to be her world. As for that bastard from the outer realm, he could only wait to die. The third princess sneered. When Luo Qingtong disappeared from the Dragon Court Palace, in Huangfushi's mansion, Bei Qing, Fengyu and the others were shocked. They couldn't follow Luo Qingtong to the forbidden area. Not good. Master and the evil doctor are in trouble. They could sense that Yi Qianxian's figure and aura had completely disappeared from Sea Emperor Island. Master. They didn't have time to investigate what had happened in the Dragon Court Palace. In an instant they rushed out of the Sea Emperor Island. Damn it, Master is in the form of a cute fox. Her strength is all confined in her body and she can't use it. What if he really ran into danger with the evil doctor? Everyone was burning with anxiety. They rushed out of Sea Emperor Island and scattered in all directions. Split up and search. We can't let anything happen to Master and the evil doctor. Yes. Everyone responded. Bei Qing and Fengyu each led a team and rushed in opposite directions. As they rushed, they tried to sense Yi Qianxian's aura. However, Yi Qianxian was in the form of a little fox, so it wasn't very easy for them to sense him. Just as they were anxiously searching for Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian, Luo Qingtong's figure appeared in the sea. Chapter 1698. Boom. An extremely violent and terrifying attack suddenly came from beside her. The power and aura emitted by that attack were extremely terrifying. Almost at the moment this attack was launched, the surrounding air mixed with the aura of spiritual energy became abnormally scorching hot. Boom. That attack almost grazed the surface of the sea as it blasted towards Luo Qingtong. Wherever it passed, the seawater boiled and evaporated in an instant. Bang. Luo Qingtong's long hair fluttered in the wind. Almost at the moment this attack blasted out, a frantic warning of danger sounded in her heart. Luo Qingtong had been hunted down and killed in her previous life, so she valued her feelings the most. Almost at the moment this warning arose in her heart, she put the little silver fox that Yi Qianxian had transformed into her lapel. Then she unsheathed the 1,000-year soul guiding wood in her left hand and the life and death yin-yang sword in her right hand. Clang. An unusually loud and sonorous sound resounded in the sky above the sea area. The life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand emitted countless rays of piercing cold light. The power in the 1,000-year soul guiding wood poured into her hand and then into the life and death yin-yang sword. Bang! The life blade absorbed and the death blade killed. In an instant, the life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand lit up with black and white light. The two lights intersected in midair, and then a black sword light that was dozens of feet long instantly swept out from Luo Qingtong's long sword. Annihilation. This was the first time Luo Qingtong attacked with all her strength. The 1,000-year soul guiding wood's heart and the life and death blade of the life and death blade of the life and death blade were all used. This attack from Luo Qingtong's hand was enough to kill a sage master. However, bang! Her attack collided with the attack coming from the air. In an instant, countless forces of energy surged in the surroundings, and spiritual energy exploded wildly. Energy stacked up layer by layer. In an instant, the seawater and air around Luo Qingtong evaporated. A huge vacuum crater nearly 1,000 meters deep suddenly appeared below her. Countless amounts of seawater gushed in from the edge of the deep pit. Luo Qingtong's figure was violently pushed back by the violent spirit chi fluctuations. This aura, Saint General Realm. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. The blood-red light in her eyes flickered. In an instant she saw the figure behind the spiritual energy storm. It was Martial Uncle Zhang from the Breeze Pavilion. What? Seeing Luo Qingtong block his attack, Martial Uncle Zhang was shocked. He was a Saint General. He had purposely waited here for Luo Qingtong to be teleported here so that he could kill her in one move and eliminate her once and for all. He didn't expect the girl to be able to block his attack. What was going on? He shifted his gaze and instantly noticed the life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand. It's this sword? His face was filled with excitement and agitation. Ah! Stinky girl, I didn't expect you to have such a treasure on you. She blocked the attack of a Saint General with her Saint Realm body. This long sword was definitely a rare treasure. Ah! Good. I just wanted to take the opportunity to get rid of you, stinky girl, but I actually found such a rare treasure. Chapter 1699. He did not know that Luo Qingtong's strength did not completely originate from the life and death sword. At this moment, his eyes were filled with unspeakable greed and passion as he stared at the long sword. Bang! He took a step forward in an instant and crossed the huge spiritual energy storm created by the collision with Luo Qingtong's sword light. He then violently attacked Luo Qingtong. However, Luo Qingtong had already thought of a way to deal with him the moment she discovered him. Bang! Her body abruptly sank down. In an instant, Luo Qingtong's body fell rapidly into the sea below like a kite. Boom! The moment Luo Qingtong fell into the sea, she drew out the internal aura of the Yao-suppressing pagoda in her mind. It was very dangerous to draw out this aura in the sea. This was because with Luo Qingtong's speed and in the sea, once the sea beast surrounded her, Luo Qingtong would not be able to escape unscathed like she did at the edge of the far western wilderness. However, who asked her to have a shield? Bang! The moment Luo Qingtong fell into the sea, Uncle Master Zhang also rushed in. Stupid girl, you want to run? Dream on. His expression was cold. The moment he fell into the sea, he attacked Luo Qingtong. However, just as he was about to launch his attack, roar! A sea beast rushed towards Luo Qingtong with a sharp and resounding cry. It sensed the internal aura of the Yao-suppressing pagoda released by Luo Qingtong and could not wait to rush over and enjoy it. However, it had just rushed to Luo Qingtong's side and could not wait to swallow this delicious prey in one gulp. In an instant, an extremely violent and terrifying attack blasted out, completely tearing it into pieces. The sea beast let out a shrill cry as it fell to the ground. This immediately angered the sea beasts that were also attracted by the internal aura of the Yao-suppressing pagoda released by Luo Qingtong. They treated Uncle Zhang as an enemy who wanted to use force to snatch the aura of the Yao-suppressing pagoda from them and instantly turned to attack him. What? Uncle Zhang's heart trembled violently when he saw this scene. His heart was filled with disbelief. What's going on? The fact that the sea beast had appeared out of nowhere and blocked his attack was already enough to make him depressed. Who would have thought that so many sea beasts would appear all of a sudden, and all of them would attack him? Could it be that this stupid girl can control sea beasts? But how is this possible? She is not from the dragon court of the sea beasts. Uncle Zhang's mind's heart, he could not understand how this was possible. As for Luo Qingtong, she had already swam forward quickly when he attracted the attention of the sea beasts. She had deliberately calculated the angle and distance and was waiting for him to attack her. Now he could just focus on dealing with those sea beasts. Luo Qingtong did not know why she was suddenly teleported here and why Uncle Zhang just so happened to be waiting for her. However, when she thought about what the Grand Elder of the Sea Emperor and the others did when she was teleported away, Luo Qingtong's eyes instantly narrowed. If she guessed correctly, the people of the Breeze Pavilion should have teamed up with someone from the Dragon Court of the Sea Emperor and were waiting for her to enter the Forbidden Area. Chapter 1700. The Sea Emperor's royal court had already been purged. As long as the other party wasn't stupid, they wouldn't go against the Sea Emperor and purposely target her. Furthermore, why would the other party help the people from the Breeze Pavilion? The only explanation was that there was someone else in the Sea Emperor's royal court who wanted her dead. The third princess of the Sea Emperor? Luo Qingtong instantly thought of the third princess of the Sea Emperor. The other party was poisoned by the aphrodisiac she had improvised and ran out. So, she didn't die and was saved by the people from the Breeze Pavilion? Luo Qingtong was still thinking when suddenly, boom! Sounds of explosions came from the distance behind her. Then a series of long and mournful howls of the sea beasts sounded. Countless waves of blood surged over. The blood-colored waves rippled and spread to the surrounding seawater area. The strong smell of blood spread everywhere. Bang! A figure instantly shot towards Luo Qingtong like an arrow leaving the bow. Stupid girl, let's see where you can run to. The blood-red light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flickered. She didn't need to turn around to see the figure rushing towards her at high speed. Luo Qingtong's eyes flickered. Her body didn't stop moving forward at all. But at the same time, she released the aura from the demon-subduing pagoda that she had previously retracted. Bang! Just like before, that Uncle Master Zhang's figure was surrounded by sea beasts before he could get close to Luo Qingtong. Because of the bloody aura on his body, those sea beasts were instantly attracted. Before Uncle Master Zhang could make a move, they had already sensed the danger and attacked him. Bastard! Once again he was stopped by sea beasts. Uncle Master Zhang watched as Luo Qingtong ran away. He instantly flew into a rage. At this time, no matter how stupid he was, he knew that this was definitely not a coincidence. Luo Qingtong definitely had something on her that attracted these sea beasts. This stupid girl really had a lot of things on her. She was most likely a treasure. Let's see where else you can run to. Uncle Master Zhang sneered. With a boom he released his aura. Ignoring the sea beasts that were charging towards him, he directly rushed towards them. Once these sea beasts came into contact with his aura, they instantly screamed and were sent flying, exploding into blood foam. The strength of a Saint General was too powerful. These sea beasts couldn't stop Uncle Master Zhang for long. Stinky girl, stop right there. Uncle Master Zhang's voice was cold and sharp as he chased after Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong Uncle Master Zhang was the moment Uncle Master Zhang's Uncle Master. Her pupil's eye technique. Luo, as Luosti is tis Luo, as Luo is. If anyone else saw this scene, they would be incomparably shocked. How could a sage expert display such a speed? Uncle Master Zhang's expression was also incomparably shocked and furious. He originally thought that he would be able to easily capture Luo Qingtong after breaking through the encirclement of sea beasts. Chapter 1701. On the other hand, after entering the water, because he wasn't used to the water, coupled with the resistance of the various currents, his speed was more than twice as slow as when he was in the air. With this difference in speed, the distance between him and Luo Qingtong didn't decrease at all. Seeing the girl's nimble figure swimming in front of him, unable to catch up no matter how hard he tried, Martial Uncle Zhang was furious. Damn it. This damned girl clearly wasn't from the Sea Emperor Dragon Court, so how was she able to swim in the water like a fish in water? He didn't expect this to happen, and could only curse continuously as he chased after her. As for Luo Qingtong, as she swam forward, she was also calmly thinking about how to escape this time. The strength of a holy general was simply too strong. Luo Qingtong's mind flashed with one thought after another, but she rejected all of them in the end. Without absolute certainty, she definitely wouldn't approach him and give him a chance to catch her. A single mistake would be compensated with her life, and there was absolutely no chance of a second chance. Luo Qingtong had been hunted down and was clearer than anyone on this point. Her eyes were incomparably cold. As her body continued to swim forward, the thoughts in her mind were also constantly spinning. At this moment, she suddenly felt that something was wrong with Yi Qianxian in her arms. Qianren, no. Luo Qingtong lowered her head and saw that the silver fox's body was enveloped in a layer of silver light. And within Yi Qianxian's body, an extremely terrifying power was like a primordial beast or a dormant volcano, ready to forcefully awaken. Seeing that the light enveloping his body was increasing, Luo Qingtong hurriedly pressed down on his claws. No. Yi Qianxian wanted to forcefully awaken the power within his body, and reveal the power to break through the demon fox's blood curse. How could this be? If Yi Qianxian's power could be revealed, it would have been revealed long ago. If he forcefully broke through the restrictions of the demon fox's blood curse, it would only worsen the curse. This way, by the time they entered the forbidden area, they didn't know if he would be able to recover successfully, and they didn't know if there would be any side effects. More importantly, Yi Qianxian's young body couldn't withstand such a terrifying amount of power. It would be seriously injured by this power. Hurting others hurts oneself. Luo Qingtong would never allow him to do that. Yi Qianxian, you have to believe me. Stop. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold and carried a trace of anger. She was not against Yi Qianxian's protection. But that was under the condition that this man was in perfect condition, under the condition that this man had enough ability. In his current situation, who would want him to risk his life to protect himself? Was she, Luo Qingtong, that useless? Without him she would have to wait for death. No. She was never a woman who could only stay under a man's wing. The love that she wanted was never a one-sided protection and dependence. What she wanted was the respect and trust of both sides. If Yi Qianxian couldn't do it and could only treat her like a daughter flower that relied on the strong, then they were definitely not suitable. Yi Qianxian. Luo Qingtong's voice, word by word, finally awakened the man's anger and reason. He raised his head to look at Luo Qingtong. The girl's voice was cold and powerful. Do you believe me? Of course he believed. Yi Qianxian furrowed his brows and nodded. Chapter 1702. Good. Then withdraw your power. Luo Qingtong said in a deep voice. If you believe her, then give your life to her. Believe that she can not only protect herself but also protect him. Yi Qianxian, you have to know that the person standing in front of you is not someone else. She wants to stand side by side with you, the woman who will stand at the peak of this world. If you believe in her, then she can become stronger together with you. If you don't believe in her, then she can only live under your wings forever. Yi Qianxian, do you believe in me? Or are you willing to believe in me? Luo Qingtong stared at Yi Qianxian. Finally, the light on the silver fox's body gradually dissipated. The terrifying power in Yi Qianxian's body, which was like a giant beast and a dormant volcano, also calmed down at this time. Phew! Sensing the changes in his body, Luo Qingtong instantly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this man listened to her advice. Otherwise, she wouldn't know what to do. Really, Luo Qingtong felt warm, touched, and angry at this man's action of protecting her. She hugged the little fox that the man had transformed into and kissed him heavily. Then, her sharp eyes looked straight ahead. Let's go. Chenren, let's go to Bright Moon Island. This place was the only place that Luo Qingtong had a chance to get rid of martial Uncle Zhang after countless thoughts in her mind. There was a change on Bright Moon Island. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth suddenly fluctuated. No matter what strange things there was something out of the ordinary that could easily trap martial Uncle Zhang of the Breeze Pavilion. As long as they could get rid of the other party, Luo Qingtong would immediately take Yi Qianxian back to Sea Emperor Island. At that time, when the man returned to his human form, the other party would be courting death. Luo Qingtong thought of this and immediately moved. The map leading to Bright Moon Island appeared in her pupil technique. After carefully comparing the map, Luo Qingtong determined her position on the sea map. Then she quickly planned the nearest route to Bright Moon Island. In an instant, she swept toward Bright Moon Island like a fish. Boom boom boom. Martial Uncle Zhang desperately chased after her. From time to time he blasted out a series of attacks, trying to block Luo Qingtong's path so that he could catch up to her. However, Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian were together. Although the power in the man's body could not be used, it could continuously flow into Luo Qingtong's body, allowing her to instantly explode with a terrifying power that far exceeded her own strength. Coupled with the life and death duality sword, blood eye, and annihilation, it could be said that this martial Uncle Zhang should be glad that Luo Qingtong's strength was only in the sage realm. Otherwise, if she was one realm higher, surpassing the sage realm, then Luo Qingtong wouldn't have to be afraid of him. Even if she couldn't kill him, she could still fight him to a draw. Bang! The life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand constantly waved. The life blade absorbed the power of martial Uncle Zhang's attacks, and at the same time, it turned into a death blade to cut and kill. The attacks blasted out by martial Uncle Zhang were all shattered by her sword light. However, the huge spiritual energy fluctuations caused by the collision of these forces shook her, causing her blood and chi to surge. Fortunately, Luo Qingtong was in the water, and the surging water helped her reduce a lot of the attack's aftermath. Chapter 1703. Bang! Wiping off the blood on her lips, Luo Qingtong waved her hand and shattered another attack from martial Uncle Zhang. Finally, she vaguely saw an island in front of her. That island stood at the end of Luo Qingtong's line of sight. Looking at it, there was a lush forest on the island, which was very dense and flourishing. If she wasn't sure that this was the sea, Luo Qingtong would have thought that she had returned to the East region, and that in front of her was the secluded mountain range in the East region. Swish! When she saw the island appear, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed with a bloody light. After comparing it with the sea map in her mind, she was very sure that this was the Bright Moon Island she was looking for. Very good. Luo Qingtong's figure shot forward like a water arrow in an instant. Just when Luo Qingtong's figure moved forward for a distance, a huge figure like a small mountain suddenly drilled out from her surroundings and rushed towards her. That dense and sharp mouth was wide open and the mouth was full of teeth. It fiercely bit towards Luo Qingtong. What's this? Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed fiercely. Her bloody eyes had just swept across the front, but she didn't see the figure of the other party? While Luo Qingtong was thinking, that hill-like figure had already rushed in front of her. In an instant she saw the other party's appearance clearly. That was a huge conch? Luo Qingtong looked at the hill-like conch opening its mouth full of sawtooth and biting towards her, and she was a little surprised. This conch seemed to have its own consciousness? This was too unusual. Conches were not a kind of sea beast. How could it become like this? While Luo Qingtong was surprised, martial Uncle Zhang, who had been chasing her closely, saw this scene and instantly laughed out loud. Ah! Stinky girl, this time you can't run away, right? With this conch blocking Luo Qingtong's path, Even if it was just a short delay, it was enough for him to catch up with her. This stinky girl, let's see where she can run to now. Martial Uncle Zhang had been running all the way and he was full of anger. Seeing this scene he couldn't help but sneer. He immediately sped up and rushed towards Luo Qingtong. Seeing his figure rushing over, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed fiercely. In an instant, the suppression power of the 9-layered exquisite pagoda in her mind swept out. In an instant, without any hesitation, Luo Qingtong's figure, the hill-like conch. The bright Luo Qingtong, Luo Qinggof, Luo, and Luo Qingtong, but it was unable to take even a step forward. Boom! When Luo Qingtong passed by the conch, Martial Uncle Zhang also arrived. At this moment, the conch also regained its movement. It bit towards Martial Uncle Zhang, who was right in front of it. What? Chapter 1704. Among them there were sea beasts, conches and seaweeds. They all seemed to have gained consciousness at the same time, and those sea beasts became even more powerful than before. The same sea beasts that Luo Qingtong had seen along the way were on a completely different level from the ones lurking around Bright Moon Island. The sea beasts around Bright Moon Island were at least 3 to 4 times stronger than those in the sea outside. Moreover, the size of these sea beasts had become extremely huge without exception. What was going on? Luo Qingtong thought of what Huang Fushi had told her before. All the sea beasts around Bright Moon Island had mutated. It seemed that the information obtained by the Sea Emperor Dragon Court was not accurate enough. It was not just the sea beasts that had mutated. Everything that had life had all mutated. Luo Qingtong looked at these sea beasts and seaweeds surrounding Bright Moon Island, as if they were guarding something. At the same time, they were not as afraid of the suppression of the 9-story exquisite pagoda as compared to those demonic beasts she had encountered before. Luo Qingtong looked and her eyes suddenly flashed. Interesting. There was indeed something hidden in Bright Moon Island. But what was it? Something that could cause these sea beasts to mutate. Was it related to the spiritual energy of heaven and earth? Or was it something else? As Luo Qingtong thought, she immediately activated the suppression of the 9-story exquisite pagoda and rushed forward. Although these sea beasts were not afraid of her suppression, they were unable to resist it. All the sea beasts that rushed forward were suppressed in place. And this moment was enough for Luo Qingtong to sweep past them and rush straight to Bright Moon Island. As Luo Qingtong's figure rapidly swept past these mutated sea beasts and rushed to Bright Moon Island, Martial Uncle Zhang, who was chasing after her, met with great misfortune. Those mutated sea beasts could not catch Luo Qingtong and immediately vented their anger on Martial Uncle Zhang. They roared angrily. After regaining their mobility, they waved their limbs and attacked Masters Junior Zhang in a frenzy. Each and every one of them looked as if they were going to tear him into pieces and dismember him into pieces. Martial Uncle Zhang saw that Luo Qingtong had rushed past them so easily and thought that these mutated sea beasts would not pay attention to them. However, who would have thought that these sea beasts were just ignoring Luo Qingtong? To him, it was like he was trying to kill him to the very end. Martial Uncle Zhang's face twitched when he saw those sea beasts roaring and attacking him. Luo Qingtong. Bitch. He roared and was instantly surrounded by a group of mutated creatures. In an instant, his figure disappeared in the middle of these mutated creatures. Shua. Luo Qingtong's figure appeared at the edge of Bright Moon Island, and she instantly went ashore. She looked back and saw Martial Uncle Zhang was completely surrounded by sea beasts. Sounds of violent attacks could be heard from the sea beasts' encirclement. Her lips suddenly curled up. Let's go, Qianren. Let's go to this island and take a look. Luo Qingtong carried the little fox in her arms and rushed towards the island. Xianxia was held in her arms and he felt an indescribable feeling. This was the first time he was so weak and powerless to enjoy someone's protection. The person protecting him was his woman. Chapter 1705. Swish. Luo Qingtong's figure swept towards the interior of the island. The deeper she went, the more astonished she felt. Not for anything else, but the inside of this island was really too strange. The surrounding vegetation was dense, much thicker and more luxuriant than when Luo Qingtong had seen it from afar before. The trees here towered into the sky with luxuriant foliage. They were much taller than the towering trees that Luo Qingtong had seen in the deep mountains of the eastern region before. Not only that, many of the vegetation here were much larger than what Luo Qingtong had seen outside. Such a change made Luo Qingtong's heart full of vigilance. She thought of the changes in the creatures in the sea. It was very likely that the things on this Bright Moon Island had also undergone such a change. Xianxia, who was in her arms, also perceived this point. He immediately frowned slightly, looking at the scene in front of him. Luo Qingtong didn't allow him to forcibly activate the power in his body, and he had no choice. Although he didn't care if his internal injuries would worsen, he was used to it anyway. But Luo Qingtong cared. Yi Qianxian could see from Luo Qingtong's eyes that if he forcibly ignored Luo Qingtong's thoughts and activated the power in his body, this woman would probably ignore him in the future, let alone be with him. Yi Qianxian would never allow such a thing to happen. Therefore, for the first time in his life, he went against his own inner thoughts and suppressed the power in his body. Only because this woman, she loved him dearly. Yi Qianxian's heart was complicated. As the heavenly vein body, he had an extremely powerful and terrifying power since birth, and as he grew older, it continued to strengthen. If it weren't for the drawbacks of the heavenly vein body, no one in this world would be able to match him. But even so, in front of Luo Qingtong he was always just an ordinary man. The young girl had never treated him as an unreachable expert that she could only rely on. She only regarded him as her man. A man she could spend the rest of her life with. She accepted his protection because he was her man. Similarly, she didn't accept his protection because he was her man. In this world, only this woman would treat him like this, right? Yi Qianxian raised his head slightly and looked at Luo Qingtong, who was flying rapidly. The girl's face was beautiful, but her expression was solemn. Her gaze was focused and vigilant as she scanned her surroundings. Feeling Yi Qianxian's gaze, Luo Qingtong thought he was worried about her. She quickly lowered her head and kissed his little nose. "It's okay," Luo Qingtong said, "don't worry." She comforted the man in her arms, afraid that he would be worried about her and couldn't help but forcefully activate the power in his body. Luo Qingtong finally managed to persuade him. She didn't want him to do that again. "Roar," Yi Qianxian responded softly. Then, as if it had thought of something, it lifted its paw and wrote a few words on Luo Qingtong's palm. "Release that pig." Yi Qianxian was naturally referring to Little Pig. Although Little Pig couldn't display much of its strength, it might be able to help Luo Qingtong in this strange place. "Okay." Luo Qingtong felt the words Yi Qianxian wrote on her palm. She immediately nodded and released Little Pig. Chapter 1706. Luo Qingtong's moving figure did not stop. She tossed Little Pig onto her shoulder. After Little Pig settled down, his face was still filled with lingering fear. "Oh my God, you scared me to death. Where is this place? Did you return to the Eastern Domain?" Little Pig looked at the lush forest around him. "No." Luo Qingtong gave a concise reply. "I'm on Bright Moon Island. Something is obviously wrong here. Can you feel anything?" Luo Qingtong scanned her surroundings. As she went deeper into the forest, the changes in the vegetation became more serious. The trees and weeds were incomparably huge. Luo Qingtong had just passed by a grass that was almost as tall as her. Not only that, but these weeds and trees also contained extremely rich spiritual energy. Not to mention other things, these weeds and trees were all extremely ordinary species. They couldn't possibly contain the spiritual energy of heaven and earth like those spiritual trees and herbs. However, these trees and weeds that Luo Qingtong saw were all like spiritual flowers and herbs. Their bodies were filled with rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Just as Luo Qingtong's voice faded away. "Roar." A beast-like roar resounded. A plant that was originally standing motionlessly beside Luo Qingtong, with an extremely gorgeous flower blooming on top of its head, suddenly pounced on her. The branches and leaves of that plant were like human hands, grabbing at Luo Qingtong. At the same time, the gorgeous pink flower on top of its head suddenly opened its petals. Under the tightly closed petals, what was wrapped wasn't the incomparably beautiful stamen, but countless sharp teeth. A demonic plant. Luo Qingtong reacted quickly. She had kept her blood-red eyes open all along the way, but she didn't find anything alive. Her heart was already filled with all kinds of vigilance. The plant was fine when it was still. Because of the surrounding trees, Luo Qingtong didn't notice anything different about it. But this time it suddenly moved and immediately distinguished itself from the surrounding forest. In an instant, Luo Qingtong's blood-red eyes showed the scene of it pouncing on her. At the same time, all the data of this plant appeared in front of her. Mutated demonic plant, Saint Realm. Bang! Luo Qingtong instantly slashed out with the life and death duality sword in her hand. Annihilation. Without using the 1,000-year soul-guiding woods tree heart or Yi Qianren's power, Luo Qingtong slashed with her sword and cut this demonic flower in half. However, after being cut in half, this demonic plant was still very tenacious. Its branches and leaves were still encircle Luo Qingtong. Plants were different from animals. Animals would die if they were beheaded. But plants, especially demonic plants, they had to have their cores. Their cores, after they awakening their spiritual energy, their cores, after they awaken usually, they wouldn't show themselves. When they encountered danger they would quickly move away. However, this demonic plant was destined to not have this opportunity when it met Luo Qingtong. The blood-red light in the girl's eyes flashed slightly. In an instant she saw through the core of the demonic plant. Chapter 1707. Swoosh. The Black Death blade instantly slashed open the demonic flower's body and smashed its core into pieces. The demonic flower didn't even have the time to scream before it collapsed under Luo Qingtong's sword. Bam! Luo Qingtong kicked the demonic flower away. At this moment xianxia and Little Pig's voices rang out at the same time. Be careful. Brr. Amidst their screams, countless leaves and branches surrounded Luo Qingtong from all directions and attacked her. Demonic trees that could awaken spirits were hidden everywhere in the depths of Bright Moon Island. One must know that it was extremely difficult for a plant to awaken its spirit. Just look at the 1,000-year soul guiding wood and you'll know how many people would scramble for it. However, at this moment, there were more than 100 branches flying around Luo Qingtong. Moreover, none of them were below the Saint Realm. The leaves and branches that filled the sky were truly terrifying. There was no way to escape from such a dense encirclement. Killing intent was everywhere. There was no chance of survival at all. Luo Qingtong finally understood why there were no life forms on this island. And why were the sea creatures densely surrounding the entire island but never coming ashore? After she passed by them and landed on the island, they targeted Martial Uncle Zhang from the Breeze Pavilion. So it was because of these demonic plants. Brr. Qingtong. Seeing these demonic plants attacking Luo Qingtong at the same time, Yi Qinshin's eyes turned cold. Almost instantly, his claws grabbed the front of Luo Qingtong's clothes and he was about to jump out. It didn't matter even if this woman was angry. He absolutely couldn't let her be in danger in front of him. The attacks from these plants were too strong and dense. Even if Luo Qingtong could see through their attacks, without sufficient strength she couldn't break through them, let alone escape from this encirclement. However, just as he was about to make his move, Little Pig's voice abruptly rang out at this moment. Oh my god. So many demonic trees? Quick. Quickly take out the 1,000-year soul guiding wood's core. Little Pig's voice was urgent. At this moment he still didn't know that Yi Qianxian was that little fox in Luo Qingtong's arms. Seeing so many demonic plants rushing toward Luo Qingtong, Little Pig was so anxious that he stomped his little hooves. If something happened to Luo Qingtong he would also be finished. 1,000-year soul guiding wood's core? The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed violently. She tried her best to find the gaps and escape routes among the leaves and branches. However, there were too many fluttering leaves and branches. It could be said that all her escape routes were blocked. Just as Luo Qingtong was frowning, she heard Little Pig's voice. Yi Qianxian also stopped circulating the energy in his body. That's right. It's the 1,000-year soul guiding wood's core. That's a 1,000-year demonic tree. I don't know how many souls and auras it refined. It cultivated for 1,000 years and evolved for 1,000 years before it could open its spirit. These demonic trees are all afraid of its aura. The demonic trees also had the concept of rank and class. These demonic trees were obviously catalyzed by external forces. They were simply not on the same level as the 1,000-year soul guiding wood. Chapter 1708. Luo Qingtong had the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree, which was the most important essence of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree. As long as Luo Qingtong took it out, the spirit awakening demon trees would immediately disperse and retreat when they sensed the aura emitted from it. Luo Qingtong vaguely understood the situation. Previously, she had put away the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree because its power had been exhausted. Along the way she had relied on Yi Qianxian's power to fight against Martial Uncle Zhang. She hadn't thought of this at that time. Now that she thought about it, if she had the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree in her hand from the beginning, the spirit awakening demon trees wouldn't have dared to attack her. With this thought in mind, Luo Qingtong suddenly flipped her hand and took out the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree. In an instant. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The branches, leaves and branches that were originally ferociously dancing toward Luo Qingtong from all directions sensed the aura of the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree in Luo Qingtong's hand. They instantly retreated as if they had seen a ghost. Luo Qingtong could even feel the aura of incomparable panic and fear emitted from their bodies. Obviously, as Little Pig said, these spirit-awakening demon trees were very afraid of the aura of the thousand-year soul guiding tree. Luo Qingtong didn't expect that the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding tree she had accidentally obtained would be of such great use at this time. However, it was fortunate that she had the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding tree. Otherwise, xianxia would have definitely used its power. Luo Qingtong felt the aura of the little silver fox in her arms rapidly increasing. Fortunately, xianxia suppressed it in the end. Little Pig also noticed the unusual aura of power in Luo Qingtong's arms. He looked toward Luo Qingtong's arms and saw xianxia. "Oh, it's you, little one." Looking at the silver fox in Luo Qingtong's arms, Little Pig had a smug look on his face. Anyway, Luo Qingtong had the heart of the thousand-year-old soul guiding wood in her hand. Unless she encountered a monster wood of the same level and strength, there was basically no problem. Suddenly it was in the mood to play tricks. It jumped onto Luo Qingtong's arm and poked the silver fox in Luo Qingtong's arms. "I can't tell. You're pretty good too. Xianxia, that fellow really has good taste. Alright, from now on, just follow that little white ball and that little golden mouse and call me boss." Little Pig shook its little hoof with a smug look on its face. It's great to have another little brother. Although this little brother of his was very displeasing to the eye, he was unexpectedly spoiled by Luo Qingtong. But this woman's love wasn't something an ordinary person could enjoy. This little one was given preferential treatment by that man xianxia. Otherwise, who knew how that man would deal with him? Thinking of this, Little Pig's heart instantly felt better. Luo Qingtong looked at Little Pig's smug face and really didn't know what to say. Every time she thought this pig was a little reliable, it would always use various methods to tell her that it was just her misperception. It wanted xianxia to call it boss and call it little one? Luo Qingtong looked at xianxia's dark face and couldn't help but laugh. Ah. Chapter 1709. Xianxia gnashed his teeth in anger when he saw her like this. He raised his paw and slapped her face. Then he coldly glared at Little Pig. "What are you looking at? Are you still not convinced that I let you call me boss?" Little Pig was baffled by Luo Qingtong's smile, but he didn't think too much about it. When he saw xianxia glaring at him, he immediately stuck out his round belly and glared back. In the end, he even snorted, "Don't think that you're so great just because you were given to me by that man. That man is narrow-minded and easily jealous. He's also unreasonable. If you continue to be so arrogant now, who knows when you'll be made into a fur coat? Who told you to be so smug? Ha ha ha." Luo Qingtong was already trying her best to hold back her laughter when she was slapped by xianxia. When she heard Little Pig's words, she instantly collapsed on the ground laughing. "I can't take it anymore. Even if this man wants to settle accounts with me in the future, I won't be able to hold back anymore." Whoa. Luoqi. Xianxia couldn't control the temperament of a young fox in her body and instantly pounced towards Luo Qingtong. Ah. Luo Qingtong hugged the silver fox that pounced on her and scratched and bit her. She laughed until she was out of breath. Okay, I promise I won't laugh anymore." "Really?" Luo Qingtong said and couldn't help but laugh again. She comforted the angry silver fox in her arms and then looked at the confused Little Pig. She held back her laughter and said, "Humph, you're really something. From now on, let xianxia call you boss. Remember to tell him when he returns to his human form." As Luo Qingtong said this, in an instant, thump, Little Pig's body fell from Luo Qingtong's shoulder. "It's xianxia?" Little Pig raised his paw in disbelief and pointed at the cute, furry silver fox in Luo Qingtong's arms. This little dumpling was that terrifying man. After receiving Luo Qingtong's confirmation, Little Pig instantly fell backward with a thump. It's over. Little Pig thought about the things he said about xianxia just now. Tears streamed down his face. "Sup. This woman is not kind. She didn't even warn me. No matter what, it was still her contracted beast. Could he still act tough properly? How can she trick me like this?" While Luo Qingtong and the rest were out of danger, on the other side, Uncle Master Zhang dragged his injured body onto the island. "You!" Master Zhang trembled with anger when he saw the injuries on his body. He raised his hand and swallowed the best healing pill he had obtained. Then he sat down cross-legged and began to recover his strength and injuries. "Luo Qingtong, that bitch. Wait until I'm done healing, I'll teach her a lesson." Master Zhang had already figured out a way to deal with those mutated creatures when he was besieged by them. If Luo Qingtong wanted to use this method to deal with him again, it would be absolutely impossible. If this woman has the ability, then don't leave this island. If she leaves, then I'll immediately catch up to her and kill her. Master Zhang swore in his heart as he recovered from his injuries. Meanwhile, Luo Qingtong had already stopped laughing. Chapter 17:10. She could feel a faintly discernible attractive force attracting the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding wood in her hand. Luo Qingtong sensed the strong desire from the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding wood. She immediately dashed in the direction of the attractive force. If she guessed correctly, this should be the cause of the strange changes on the island. Swoosh! Luo Qingtong dashed through the lush trees on the island at lightning speed. The closer she got to the attractive force, the more excited the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding wood in her hand became. The desire it transmitted to her became stronger and stronger. Luo Qingtong followed its instructions and dashed out. Soon she arrived at a place that looked like a valley. It was said to be a valley because this place was completely surrounded by trees. One after another, gigantic trees towered into the sky. Each tree was as thick as dozens of people hugging it. As for the tree in the middle, it was even thicker and sturdier. All of these trees were not even half as thick as this one. This gigantic tree towered in the middle of this forest valley. The surrounding trees gave Luo Qingtong a strange feeling. Myriad spirit nurturing array? Oh my god. Who set this up? Little Pig couldn't help but blurt out when he saw the mountain valley filled with trees. Myriad spirit nurturing array? Luo Qingtong squinted her eyes. She looked at the forest valley in front of her. The bloody light in her eyes intensified. She immediately saw the layout of this valley. It was a gigantic forest array. The gigantic tree in the center was the core of this array. Yes. Myriad spirit nurturing array. Myriad spirit nurturing array. These trees have all become wood spirits. The heart of wood spirit is condensed in their bodies. This is the purest essence of energy. Do you still remember the holy realm flower condensed by xuanhuan? This one has the same effect as that one. Every heart of wood spirit is enough to create a holy realm expert. Oh my god, there are so many here. Furthermore, these wood spirits are only there to serve as a foil. I'm afraid that the spiritual tree in the center has already condensed the heart of all trees. This is a heaven and earth spirit treasure that is one level higher than the wood spirit heart. If you're able to obtain it, then your current strength is entirely capable of directly advancing into the saint realm. Not only that, the heart of Myriad wood contains an attribute that allows you to communicate with the world spirit chi without any hindrance. It's enough for you to cultivate to the exalt realm in the future without having to worry about bottlenecks. In this world, what was the power closest to the heavenly Tao? Naturally, it was the power of life. As for the wood element, it represented the power of life. The power of the heart of myriad trees allowed Luo Qingtong to easily comprehend the power and essence of the power of heaven and earth. Of course, the grade of this heart of myriad trees wasn't very high. After all, it was catalyzed by ordinary trees. But even then, it was sufficient for Luo Qingtong to attain the exalt realm, and she didn't have to worry about being stuck in her cultivation and being unable to advance. What a treasure. This was a good treasure. Little Pig was so excited that he kept jumping on Luo Qingtong's shoulder. He never expected that Luo Qingtong would encounter such a good thing on Bright Moon Island. Chapter 17:11. But because they weren't in the array formation, they couldn't obtain protection. Once they killed the creatures on the island, they would turn into monster trees. That was why Luo Qingtong hadn't seen any living creatures along the way. Of course not. They were all killed by the spirit-opening monster trees. However, this myriad spirit breeding array wasn't an array formation that just anyone could know about, and it wasn't something that an average person could lay down. Not to mention such a large array formation that also stimulated the heart of myriad trees. This was strange. It was reasonable to say that in the true Spill continent and even the hidden world, no one should be able to do this. Who left this array formation behind? Looking at the situation, it must have been left behind for a long time. If it weren't for the heart of myriad trees condensing and forming, causing a change in the world's spiritual energy, which was sensed by the monster beasts and discovered by Luo Qingtong, perhaps no one would have known that there would be such a change here. While Little Pig was lost in thought, on the other side Luo Qingtong also figured out what was going on. So that's how it is. The heart of myriad trees could directly enter the saint realm? Luo Qingtong's lips slightly curled up. Very good. She thought of Martial Uncle Zhang of the Breeze Pavilion who had been chasing her all this time, and the smile on her lips became increasingly bloodthirsty and enchanting. Originally, she only wanted to take advantage of the strangeness of Bright Moon Island to get rid of him. But now Luo Qingtong had changed her mind. She was never willing to suffer a loss. She wasn't willing to let go of any opportunity to become stronger and take revenge. As long as there was a slight chance, she would immediately seize it. Then she would teach those who dared to go against her a lesson. She couldn't change her personality even now. Since she couldn't change it, then she wouldn't change it. That martial Uncle Zhang had been chasing her all this time. He must be feeling very good, right? Later, she would make him feel even more good. Come, let's go and get the heart of myriad trees, Luo Qingtong said in a deep voice. Hey, wait. This myriad spirit breeding array is a hole. If you break this array, all the wood spirits will awaken and attack us. These wood spirits were only dormant because of the myriad spirit nurturing array. Once it was broken, they would immediately attack Luo Qingtong, the person who broke the formation. At that time, not to mention obtaining the heart of myriad trees, it would already be good if they could come out alive. Especially since this man had turned into a cute little silver fox. Little Pig glanced at Yi Qianxian in Luo Qingtong's arms. Then what do you suggest we do? Luo Qingtong, who was about to rush forward, suddenly stopped. Breaking the array was not a difficult task for her. But dealing with these wood spirits would be troublesome. No, it wasn't just troublesome. Once these wood spirits woke up, unless Yi Qianxian made a move, they would be lucky if they didn't die inside. And Luo Qingtong would never risk Yi Qianxian's body. If Yi Qianxian was the only one who could obtain the heart of myriad trees, she would rather give up and leave. But if that was the case, that martial Uncle Zhang might be able to benefit from it. Luo Qingtong wasn't sure if he recognized the myriad spirit nurturing array and the wood spirits. If he did, he would definitely send a message to the people of the Breeze Pavilion in the hidden world if he saw this scene after following her into this island. Not only that, he would also make a move and risk his life to obtain the heart of myriad trees. At that time, not only would his strength increase greatly, she would also lose this opportunity. Luo Qingtong thought and immediately frowned. Chapter 17:12. Of course I have a way. But, it looked at Luo Qingtong with a despicable expression and transmitted its voice to her. If I tell you, you have to put in a good word for me in front of this man. You can't let him find trouble with me again. Little Pig's voice sounded directly in Luo Qingtong's mind. It was using the unique communication method between it and Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong had a faint smile on her face. This pig still dares to negotiate with me? However, if it's only this matter, then it's fine. Okay, I promise you, Luo Qingtong said in her mind. Okay. Little Pig felt relieved after Luo Qingtong agreed. It couldn't be helped. It had made such a big mistake before, so it felt like its pig life was going to be over. Luo Qingtong, its master, had never cared about it. Little Pig could only try its best to save itself. After getting Luo Qingtong's agreement, it immediately moved closer to Luo Qingtong and whispered to her. You can do this. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows after hearing its words. Are you sure this method will work? If it didn't work, then she would be completely trapped in the center of the myriad spirit nurturing formation. At that time, with so many wood spirits and that huge tree attacking her, it will definitely work. Don't worry. Little Pig made a solemn vow. Our lives are connected. I won't joke about this. Okay. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. I'll listen to you this time. Let's go. Luo Qingtong's figure dashed toward the forest valley. This spirit nurturing array did not pose any hindrance to her. Swoosh. When Luo Qingtong dashed into the forest valley, Martial Uncle Zhang on Bright Moon Island had finished healing his injuries and continued to dash toward the depths of the island. Luo Qingtong's body had the aura left behind by his previous attack. He could feel that she was on this island. That bitch is smart. If she had immediately left in another direction after coming ashore, he would have immediately chased after her. He wouldn't have been entangled with those mutated creatures, let alone be injured. But this island seems a bit strange, Martial Uncle Zhang said as he vigilantly scanned the surroundings. He wasn't stupid. There were so many mutated creatures in the sea. Their strength was not something the creatures in the sea could compare with. Moreover, there were lush green forests on this island. If he didn't know that there was something strange about this island, then there was something wrong with his brain. Martial Uncle Zhang suspected that Luo Qingtong wanted to use this strange island to get rid of him. Even if there's something strange on this island, it's nothing. Martial Uncle Zhang. as a Saint General, within the mortal lands of True Spill Continent, there was simply no place that could pose a threat to him. Luo Qingtong, that bitch, just wait for her death. Martial Uncle Zhang's face was filled with a cold and stern expression. However, at this moment, an extremely thick branch suddenly whipped towards him. Martial Uncle Zhang's heart was filled with vigilance. He quickly dodged to the side. However, just as he dodged the incomparably thick branch, on the other side, countless branches and leaves sliced towards him like flying knives. Chapter 1713. Demonwood Siege. The scene that Luo Qingtong encountered before was also played out on this master's junior Zhang. But he did not have the luck of Luo Qingtong, who could have the heart of the 1,000-year-old soul-guiding tree to intimidate these spirit-opening demon wood. Bang bang bang. One attack after another fell on Master's Junior Zhang's body. In an instant, even if he was a holy general, he was blasted away by the joint violent attack of this group of spirit-opening demon wood. Puff. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his heart was horrified. What's going on? He looked at the spirit-opening demon wood around him in shock, not knowing how so many spirit-opening demon wood appeared here. Not only that, but their strength was also so powerful. If not for the fact that he was a Saint General, he would have been killed by these berserk spirit-opening demon trees in that round of attack just now. What's going on? How could there be so many spirit-opening demon wood here, and how did Luo Qingtong pass through here? Seeing those spirit-opening demon wood coming towards him again, Master's Junior Zhang did not dare to be negligent in his heart. He quickly used all the strength in his body and desperately rushed in the direction of the inner island. In any case, he could not let Luo Qingtong go. Moreover, the other party could pass through here, indicating that she had a treasure that could restrain these spirit-opening demon wood. The other party had so many treasures. Master's Junior Zhang felt a burst of excitement in his heart. He thought that all the things on Luo Qingtong were given by Yi Qianxian and suddenly sneered. That Blackfield Mingzun was generous to his woman. However, these things were all going to benefit him now. Not only that, the changes on this island were so strange. These spirit-opening demon wood were definitely not formed by chance. There must be a great opportunity in it. Ah, he was rich. When he killed Luo Qingtong, all the things here would belong to him. At that time, when he returned to the sect, he might be able to jump to the top. Ah, Luo Qingtong bitch. Thank you for bringing me to this place. In return, I'll make sure you don't die so miserably. Uncle Zhang laughed out loud, then rushed toward the inner island with a ferocious look on his face. Boom boom boom. Wave after wave of berserk attacks came from the point of contact between him and the spirit-unlocking demonic tree. At this moment, Luo Qingtong had already brought Yi Qianxian and Little Pig into the forest valley, which was also the myriad spirit-nurturing formation. Every step the girl took was within the safe zone of the spirit-nurturing array. As the spirit-nurturing array operated, she constantly changed her figure and position. Every landing point was extremely precise. This formation was extremely huge and profound. The aura inside was majestic and vast, and the spiritual energy inside was extremely abundant. It was no wonder that the trees here could grow so quickly and form wood spirits. One had to know that it was almost impossible for ordinary trees to grow into wood spirits. Only after tens of thousands of years of accumulation, among countless trees, could one tree possibly have such an opportunity and good fortune. However, in this myriad spirit-nurturing array, there were more than tens of thousands of wood spirits. As soon as Luo Qingtong entered, she immediately felt the difference in this myriad spirit-nurturing array. Chapter 1714. Otherwise, Luo Qingtong could have continued to cultivate here until she could no longer advance. She would then consume the heart of myriad trees and the effects would definitely be better. When that time came, she wouldn't have to fear the Breeze Pavilion or the Beast-Taming King Valley when she went to the hidden world. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed, and her heart was filled with regret. However, when she thought about how good things couldn't happen to her in this world, the heart of myriad trees was already good enough. She immediately felt relieved. She adjusted her mood, and after a few flashes she finally followed the operation of the myriad trees nurturing array and arrived in front of the centermost giant tree without alerting anyone. Looking at this giant tree that was so large that even 200 or 300 people wouldn't be able to encircle it, Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed. She raised her hand and blasted at a certain spot at the foot of this giant tree. Break the array core. Following Luo Qingtong's action, that giant tree, along with the wood spirits in the entire mountain forest valley, all trembled violently. The array beneath their feet was activated, and they immediately attacked Luo Qingtong. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the entire mountain forest valley was like an incomparably terrifying killing machine that had been activated. Countless leaves and branches all rushed at Luo Qingtong in an instant. The net of branches and leaves that filled the sky condensed into an incomparably huge and terrifying cage that overflowed with murderous intent, completely enveloping Luo Qingtong within. At this moment, the giant tree beside Luo Qingtong also stretched out its branches, and then blasted at Luo Qingtong with incomparable murderous intent. The thin and thick branches all around its body carried an incomparably biting cold and terrifying aura, and they were like flying daggers that blasted at Luo Qingtong. Killing intent from both inside and outside, there was no way to escape. Seeing this scene, Luo Qingtong's eyes flickered violently. In an instant, she fully activated her ocular technique. Boom. Her figure leaped up in an instant, passing through the terrifying waterfall-like attack formed by the giant tree's branches. Then, the heart of the 1,000-year-old soul-guiding tree in her hand accurately sank into the array core that she had just broken open. At this time, because the formation core had been broken, this huge tree had completely uprooted itself from the ground where it had taken root. Like a living creature, it moved its roots and brandished its branches that filled the sky, blasting towards Luo Qingtong. At this moment, the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding tree entered the heart of the formation and replaced the position of the giant tree. At the same time, a ray of light shot out from Luo Qingtong's hand. In an instant, the array core was repaired. That's right, the method Little Pig told Luo Qingtong was to first break the core of the array, then lure out the giant tree and replace it with the 1,000-year soul-guiding tree's core to become the array's core. In this way, the myriad spirit-nurturing array was not broken, and Luo Qingtong naturally did not have to face the siege of the entire valley. An ordinary tree would definitely not be able to do this. After all, in order to become the array core, suppress the other wood spirits in the myriad spirit-nurturing array, and bear the burden of the entire array's operation, the tree in the center must be stronger than the other wood spirits. Otherwise, even if it was planted, the entire array core would not be stable. At that time, the myriad spirit-nurturing array would also collapse. The other wood spirits would also lose control. Chapter 17:15. In terms of the power and level of the wood spirit, it was not inferior to the giant tree in the center of the array. With Luo Qingtong's help, the entire myriad spirit-nurturing array was completely stabilized in an instant. The terrifying attacks that were about to besiege Luo Qingtong disappeared in an instant. With the myriad spirit-nurturing array stabilized, the wood spirits naturally quieted down again. In this forest valley, there was only the giant tree that Luo Qingtong lured out of the array's core position. Boom boom boom. The giant tree had already developed spiritual intelligence. After sensing the changes in the entire myriad spirit-nurturing array, it immediately changed its attack and blasted towards the heart of the 1,000-year-old soul-guiding tree that occupied the array's core position. However, how could Luo Qingtong let it touch the heart of the 1,000-year-old soul-guiding tree? The other party replaced the giant tree to stabilize the entire myriad spirit-nurturing array. Only then could she deal with the giant tree and take the heart of myriad trees from its body. Qianren. Luo Qingtong shouted in a low voice. Yi Qianxian understood and poured the power in his body into Luo Qingtong's body in an instant. Boom. The life and death dual polarity sword in Luo Qingtong's hand turned into a death blade in an instant. The black aura of death diffused, and the sword light burst out for dozens of feet in an instant. Luo Qingtong raised her hand and waved. Heaven-conquering art, heaven-seizing move and annihilation. The life and death dual polarity sword in Luo Qingtong's hand slashed twice in an instant. After the heaven-seizing move swept out, the tail of her sword fiercely lifted, and annihilation attacked again in an instant. Like the Milky Way hanging upside down, a ray of light suspended in the air caught up with the heaven-seizing move in an instant. The power of the latter's sword light was constantly being eliminated, and then it rapidly strengthened the power of annihilation. Luo Qingtong was using this method to strengthen her own attack. Two heaven-conquering arts attacks were launched and the two sword lights overlapped. Coupled with Yi Qianxian's strength, the strength that Luo Qingtong could display at this moment was amazing. Boom boom boom. When the waterfall of branches from the giant tree reached the heart of the 1,000-year-old soul-guiding tree, they were all chopped into pieces by Luo Qingtong's sword light. Now is the time. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold, and the bloody light in her eyes was fixed on a point in the huge tree. Bang! Her figure flashed out in an instant, and before the branches around the huge tree grew out again, she suddenly appeared somewhere on its trunk. And then, suddenly he stabbed the life and death yin-yang sword into the giant tree. The bark of this giant tree had been cultivated to the point where it was as hard as metal. Coupled with the restoration of the power of wood, ordinary swords and attacks could do nothing to it. However, the sword in Luo Qingtong's hand was the death blade of the life and death yin-yang sword. Life and death depend on each other, life and death duality. The deathly aura within it kept eliminating the power of wood on the huge tree. Then with a loud boom, it broke through the bark of the huge tree. Rip! The life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand slashed forward, approaching the core of the huge tree in an instant. The heart of all trees. The life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand changed into the life blade form. When the heart of all trees saw that Luo Qingtong had broken through the bark, it immediately wanted to move. However, at this moment, it felt the rich vitality emitted by the life blade in Luo Qingtong's hand. Instantly, it was stunned. Chapter 17:16. Swoosh. Luo Qingtong flicked the long sword in her hand. That heart of 10,000 trees was flicked out in an instant, flying into the air. It broke away from that huge tree. Screech. That huge tree suddenly let out an incomparably mournful cry. Those newly grown branches that were as sharp as swords and sabers instantly withered as they surrounded Luo Qingtong. Countless branches drooped down from the sky. Some of these branches were incomparably sharp, and they were already approaching Luo Qingtong. The wind that swiftly shot out cut Luo Qingtong's skin and robe in an instant. If Luo Qingtong's movements were slightly slower, or if there was any mistake in her movements, that heart of 10,000 trees would escape. Then what awaited her was a situation of instant death. Xianxia in her arms was extremely tense. He was ready to mobilize the power in his body at any time, and forcibly break through the restrictions of the demon fox blood curse. And Luo Qingtong also knew Xianxia's plan. So, in order to not let this man take risks for her, every step of her calculations was calculated to the extreme. The bloody light in her eyes was urged to an extremely dazzling and resplendent state. Her entire pair of eyes looked like a bloody wave rippling within. It was also like an extremely beautiful red agate, exquisite and translucent to the extreme. This pair of bloody eyes seemed to carry an extremely bloody and violent beauty, and also had an extreme fairy-like and illusory charm. Like a demon and like a god. At this moment, Luo Qingtong looked soul-stirringly beautiful, standing proudly in the blue dome of heaven. Bang! Luo Qingtong raised her hand and grabbed the heart of 10,000 trees that she had flicked up in the air. Her figure instantly swept over that huge tree. Boom boom boom. That huge spiritual tree about 100 feet tall crashed to the ground, shattering into pieces of wood behind Luo Qingtong. Without the heart of myriad trees, the giant tree lost its life force and turned into a rotten tree in an instant. Luo Qingtong landed lightly on the ground like a butterfly. When her feet touched the ground, she suddenly staggered and almost fell forward. I'm fine. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes was extinguished. She gently patted the little fox Xianxia, who had grabbed her by the collar and was eager to check on her. She lowered her head and kissed it to comfort it. The scene just now was too thrilling. Luo Qingtong's mind was tense to the extreme, and her blood pupils were also pushed to the extreme. Her entire body strength was completely drained in an instant. It could be said that he had been hollowed out. Due to overexertion, it was natural for him to be unsteady on his feet. But in the end, he had obtained the heart of myriad trees. As Luo Qingtong thought to herself, she lowered her head and looked at the heart of myriad trees in her hand. The latter struggled with all its might in her hand, as if it wanted to return to that huge tree. However, Luo Qingtong's aura tightly imprisoned it, making it unable to escape. Once it left its body, the heart of myriad trees had no protection at all. This is the heart of myriad trees? Luo Qingtong looked at the heart of myriad trees. It was a ball of lustrous green light, pulsing as if it had life force. She looked at Little Pig and asked, "Is this heart of myriad trees useful for Qianren?" Luo Qingtong had wanted to ask this before. If this heart of myriad trees was useful for Yi Qianxian, then she wouldn't use it. She would leave it for Yi Qianxian to heal his meridians. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.